Welcome to Belated Tech Musings, the channel dedicated to retro tech, innovation, science, and technological entertainment. This is part 3 of our coverage of the SpaceX Dragon 2 Demo-2 launch and docking at the International Space Station. Part 1, the launch, was covered in short 18, and part 2, the docking, was covered in short 19. Links to both can be found below. This part covers 2 different ceremonial events. The NASA Johnson Space Center congratulatory ceremony conducted by Administrator Bridenstine right after the docking on May 31st, 2020, and President Trump's speech given after the launch on the day before. We cover Bridenstine's event first in this video. Speakers include the JSC Director Mark Geyer, Texas Senator Ted Cruz, and Texas Congressional 36th District Representative Brian Babin, in whose district the JSC resides. The runtime of this segment is about 26 minutes. President Trump's speech is the second segment. The president's speech, in addition to comments concerning the Demo-2 mission, also covered the pandemic and the horrific death of George Floyd and the ongoing related protests in its original delivery. We have edited out those segments, not because they are not important or that they do not provide relevant context. Rather, this video is intended to focus on just space exploration and technology. A link to the full speech is provided below. Trump's Demo-2 related comments have a runtime of about 22 minutes. If nothing bores you more than politicians bloviating, this is your opportunity to click away. Check out our other content, as there is plenty to choose from with a sharper focus on technology and science. But for those viewers who might find what is said insightful or thought-provoking, continue on. Thanks for your channel support, and enjoy the video.
And station, we're just about ready to stand by. All right, station, it's Houston on Space Ground 2. Confirm that you are ready for the event.
Houston, this station, we are ready for the event.
Copy that. And sir, Administrator Bridenstine, welcome to MCC. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is the NASA Administrator. Can you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear, sir. Welcome to the space station.
Thank you, Chris. It's good to see you. And welcome to Bob and Doug. I will tell you, the whole world saw this mission, and we are so proud of everything you have done for our country and, in fact, to inspire the world.
We sure appreciate that, sir. It's obviously been our honor to be just a small part of this. We have to give credit to SpaceX, the Commercial Crew Program, and, of course, NASA. It's great to get the United States back in the crewed launch business, and we're just really glad to be on board this magnificent complex.
Well, we have some VIPs with us here, and I'm sure they have some questions that they'd like to ask you, but I have one of my own before I turn it over. And I just wanted to find out if you guys got any sleep on your way up there the last, I'd say, I get 19 hours. Did you guys get any sleep?
Yeah, I think a lot of folks in Hawthorne were asking the same question, sir, but we did get probably a good 7 hours or so opportunity for sleep, and I did succeed at sleep, and Doug did as well. So the first night is always a little bit of a challenge, but the Dragon was a slick vehicle, and we had good airflow, and so we had an excellent evening, and just excited to be back in low Earth orbit again.
Amazing. Well, one of the people that is here with us today is Senator Ted Cruz, and of course he's a huge advocate of America's space program, and he's been somebody who has helped us so much as we transition from one administration to the next administration. And the reason missions like this can have success is because of continuity of purpose. And Senator Ted Cruz was a leader on a bill called the NASA Transition Authorization Act. And because of that, we have had a lot of political support, and we're very grateful for his leadership. Senator Cruz, would you like to say a few words?
Well, congratulations, gentlemen. The eyes of the world are upon you, and everyone is proud of you. All of America is watching you, and today and yesterday represent big, big days. We're looking at a decade since we've had American astronauts launched on an American ship from American soil. And I can tell you, I sat with my wife and kids in our living room watching on TV yesterday, and I suspect we did what just about everyone watching did, including both of you, which is held our breath as it took off. And we're glad to see you've landed safely. We're glad to see you've docked. And so let me ask you, that Dragon is an amazing vehicle. How does she handle?
It flew just like it was supposed to. It was we had a couple opportunities to take it out for a spin, so to speak, once after we got into orbit last night, and again today about 20 minutes before we docked. And my compliments to the folks back at Hawthorne and SpaceX for how well it flew. It is exactly like the simulator, and we couldn't be happier about the performance of the vehicle.
What do you guys hope to accomplish in your time on the International Space Station?
Well, while we're on board the space station, of course, with the new spacecraft, we do hope to put her through her paces, and so the good ship Endeavour is going to get a lot of checkout over the next week or two here, and hopefully we'll be able to declare her operational, and Doug and I will be able to take some burden off of Chris and his crewmates, Ivan and Anatoly, so that we can keep the space station operating at its peak possibilities. So we're looking forward to contributing any way that we can, and like I said, trying to keep space station as productive as possible.
As a country, we're in the midst of a tough week. We're seeing protests, we're seeing a lot of anger, we're seeing violence. And I have to say, this launch and y'all's docking is a powerful inspiration of what we can do when we come together, of the power of unity, the power of ingenuity. And so I guess the last question I would ask you is since you have the opportunity to address, in particular, all the young people in America, what would you tell them in terms of what we can do when we can come together?
You know, that's a great question. 9 years ago, just about exactly 9 years ago, we docked with Atlantis on STS-135, the last flight of the Space Shuttle program, a 30-year program. And folks at SpaceX, folks at NASA, the Commercial Crew Program put their heads together and worked diligently year after year, making sacrifices, working hard. And then 9 years later, American launch capability was restored, and this is just one effort that we can show for the ages in this dark time that we've had over the past several months to kind of inspire especially the young people in the United States to reach for these lofty goals and work hard and look what you can accomplish.
Thank you, gentlemen. God bless you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Senator
sir.
Cruz. We have another very special guest here that represents the Johnson Space Center. And, of course, it's my good friend from the House of Representatives, Dr. Brian Babin. And I want to be clear, he also was a big part of the NASA Transition Authorization Act, which gave us the continuity of purpose to make this happen today. So, gentlemen, here is Dr. Brian Babin from the state of Texas.
Thank you. It's great to be with you guys. I was at the launch yesterday. I just want to say a huge congratulations. And, there was a thunderstorm that blew in about 30 minutes or 45 minutes or so before liftoff. And it was in doubt there for a minute, but it was just an enormous achievement. I just want to say thank you for you guys. Really appreciate what you're doing for America, and the crew that's already been up there, Chris, and your two fellow Russians. To give you a great big thank you as well. I have a son who was a Navy SEAL, and I want to thank you for your service there too, Chris. And also, I would like to just see what I know you said that the craft, the Dragon, handled very well, but I want to see how it compares with the Space Shuttle. If one of you would address that, I would appreciate it.
Well, thank you, sir. It certainly has been a long endeavor for us and our namesake spacecraft. We're proud to have her on board the International Space Station after all that the teams around the country and across America have done to get us here today. As far as a comparison with the Space Shuttle, both Doug and I took a few minutes while we were accomplishing the approach and docking to, in our spare time, talk a little bit about it. We were surprised a little bit at how smooth things were off the pad. The Space Shuttle is a pretty rough ride heading into orbit with the solid rocket boosters. And our expectation was, as we continued with the flight into second stage, that things would basically get a lot smoother than the Space Shuttle did. But Dragon was huffing and puffing all the way into orbit, and we were definitely driving or riding a Dragon all the way up. And so it was not quite the same ride, the smooth ride, as the Space Shuttle was up to MECO. A little bit less G's, but a little bit more alive is probably the best way I would describe it. Anything else, Doug?
No? Sounds good.
Bob, what is MECO?
Sorry, I have to apologize for actually using the term MECO. It's a little bit confusing between the Space Shuttle and the Dragon vehicle. So it's a main engine cutoff is what MECO stands for. Those happened at different times in flight for the two vehicles. For the Space Shuttle, that was when you were all the way in orbit. For Dragon, that was just a little bit after 2 minutes. And then we had the single engine cutoff for second stage when we achieved orbit. So that time under the single engine, under Dragon, with one engine, was more of an experience than the shuttle was for that 6.5 minutes or so that we were under that second stage motor.
Well, I would just like to say, in fact, Doug, did you have something you wanted to add there? I met your mother and father yesterday, Doug, and great folks. They're very, very proud of their son.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Hopefully they enjoyed the launch. I know for parents, it can probably be pretty nerve-wracking for them to experience a launch. This was their third, so I'm glad everything went okay, and hopefully it was a good show. We haven't obviously heard or seen any video yet, but we're looking forward to seeing the launch replayed sometime.
I can assure you that it was a great show. It was one of the treats of my lifetime, I would have to say, and many other folks that were sitting there looking all across the country and even the world. And I can tell you, as Senator Cruz said, we've gone through some really, really rough times over the last few days, and to have that successful launch, the public-private partnership between NASA and SpaceX, and you guys being so well-trained and having it go off without a hitch was a tremendous blessing for our country. And I can't tell you how many emails and communications I've gotten from people that who were so disturbed by what's been going on, transpiring around the country, to have the great news and the wonderful liftoff and everything going without a hitch. So I just want to say God bless both of you. Thank you so very much. Bless the rest of you folks up there as well. We thank our Russian partners. And thank you, Chris. y'all are all in our prayers, and we're looking forward to seeing you successfully complete your mission and back safely on Earth. God bless.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and just so you guys are aware, the show was in fact spectacular. The ratings on NASA TV beat everyone else. Not just some of them, it beat all of them, and that includes, yeah, just so everybody is aware, the whole world saw this. It trended #1 on Twitter. It was the #1 thing talked about on social media in general. This was an amazing moment, and it represents a transition in how we do space flight from the United States of America. NASA is not going to purchase, own, and operate rockets and capsules the way we used to. We're going to partner with commercial industry for access to low Earth orbit, and those partnerships are going to enable our providers to get customers that are not NASA and drive down our costs, and we're going to have numerous providers that are competing on cost and innovation and safety, and we're going to have more access to low Earth orbit than ever before. And this business model, now that it's been proven on commercial resupply of the International Space Station, now commercial crew to the International Space Station, this model is going to apply, and I know Senator Cruz has this near and dear to him, when we go to the moon. And, of course, when we go to the moon, it's going to be done because of the great people here at the Johnson Space Center and so many other centers across the United States of America. But when we go to the moon, we're going to land on the surface of the moon with commercial landers. And, of course, we're very proud of the Commercial Lunar Payload Services Program being managed right here out of the Johnson Space Center as well, so that we can take small payloads to the surface of the moon. And all of this is leading up to an amazing day where we have humans living and working for long periods of time on the surface of the moon, but doing it with a purpose, and that purpose, of course, is to go to Mars. Humanity is going to explore more and be able to go further than ever before because of the public-private partnerships. We all know that if the government is creating the demand and the government is creating the supply, we will always be limited. But when we have partners that are interested in exploring commercially and doing the things that are necessary, to get capital investment, then we're all going to end up better. So I want to just say the whole world saw this. This is a new era in human space flight, and we are so grateful for the service of not just our 2 astronauts that embarked on this mission, but the 100,000-plus people that participate in it, in this mission, everything from the suppliers to the main contractors, to the NASA team, the SpaceX team. What an amazing day for our country and, in fact, for the world. I'm going to turn it over for a second to my deputy, Jim Morehard, who's been a great deputy at NASA.
Gentlemen, congratulations. You know, Jim's mentioned going to the moon, and yesterday and today, you've inspired the Artemis generation, which is our next generation, and that's what this is about. It's really bringing the children that we've got and our grandchildren forward, so they'll be the ones that are going into deep space. This is the dawn of a new era, and we just thank you for being at the beginning of it. Thank you so much.
It was absolutely our pleasure, but it's just a huge team effort across the board from SpaceX to NASA that made this all happen. We were just the lucky guys that got to fly the rocket yesterday.
I have a question for Chris Cassidy. Our crew here decided to be about 3 days late. You got to work them overtime, I presume, now to get them caught up on all the activities that they missed out on. Any plans for them?
Well, the day they missed out on was a good one for them to skip. It was Saturday house cleaning, but I took care of it for them. We'll catch up next weekend. But in all seriousness, we've got a few things to take care of tonight, make sure we're all safe and we know the plan in case something bad happens. And then we're looking forward to some operational stuff later in the month. Maybe we'll get outside and do some spacewalks, and our efforts in these coming weeks will be in that effort. So we're all super excited to have 2 more crewmates to the Expedition 63 team.
Awesome. And, of course, here in Houston, this is the home of the astronaut office, and the Johnson Space Center is led by Mark Geyer, and I'm going to turn it over to Mark for a few comments.
Thank you, Jim. Hey, it's great to see all of you there. Good to see you, Bob and Doug. I know we talked a few days ago. You look a little taller than I remember you. And but I also want to thank Anatoly and Iman and, of course, Chris for what you guys have been doing since you all arrived. And I know there's been a ton to do, and you've been really busy, and I appreciate that. So I also like this visual of our international partnership. We have had a tremendous partnership with Roscosmos, and we will continue to do so. But it is nice to see crew arrive from this side of the space station. So that was pretty cool after 9 years. I did have one question for Chris, though. What might you do to ensure that Bob and Doug stay longer? Do you have any strategy there?
Well, we'll slow down the rate of which I'm eating food, and maybe we can stretch out our consumables a little bit. But that's a great question. We'll have to come up with some conniving scheme here in the next few days.
All right, thank you. Thanks, guys. Look forward to greeting the 3 of you eventually back in Ellington after your work is complete. Thank you.
And, of course, Mark Geyer has an amazing deputy, Vanessa Weiss, if you'd like to come and say a few words.
Thank you, Jim. Hi, guys. You look really good. I just want to say on behalf of everybody here, we just want to thank you. It was an amazing launch, and we love seeing the docking. You guys all look really good. Just thank you for all that you're doing, and we can't wait for you to return, but not too soon. Station wants you to get a lot of work done, so looking forward to all of that. But thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Vanessa. We appreciate that.
All right, we also have with us Steve Jerzik, who is the Associate Administrator for the agency. For people who don't know what that is, that, of course, is the Chief Operating Officer of the agency. But he also ran the flight readiness review for this mission. He did really an amazing job, and I can't say enough about his leadership at the agency. Steve, if you'd like to say a few words, ask a few questions.
Hey, guys, it is just great to see you all on the station. I can't tell you how my adrenaline shut down when you guys opened the hatch. I mean, I've just been on edge ever since yesterday, and the weather cleared. I can't tell you how great it's been to see you on station. It has been a team effort. I felt like the last 2 years I've kind of been part of the team, working through issues, and it's been a heck of a year and a half with Demo-2 and the in-flight abort test, and working through issues like parachutes and the escape system. And I just could not be more proud of the team for getting to this point. It's amazing, and you obviously have been part of that. I really appreciate you all showing up in Washington, D.C. at our reviews, and because the last thing we do at those reviews is look at you all, because you guys are the risk takers, and make sure you're okay with where we are and where we're headed. So I really appreciated that. I really appreciate your active participation in that, and I could not be more, like I said, more proud of the team, and congratulations, and it is awesome to see you guys on station.
Well, thank you, sir. We're just proud to be a part of the team that got to bring spaceflight back to the Florida coast. I appreciated the comment earlier that it was nice to see a vehicle come to the forward portion of the space station, but I'll tell you what, that's the only way Doug and I know how to do it. So thanks to the team for providing it to happen our way. We appreciate that.
Well, Bob and Doug, just so you're aware, I'm being given the wrap signal. Doug, did you have something to say before we wrap it up here?
Oh, no, sir. we're just happy to be here, and Chris is going to put us to work, and hopefully we will fit in and not mess too many things up.
I have no doubt that you guys are going to do amazing work. I just want you to know the president came to the launch and the vice president came to the launch. About half the cabinet was at the launch. We had members of Congress and members of the Senate from both sides of the aisle, and this was an amazing moment of unity for the nation. It was an amazing moment for the whole world to look up. In the midst of the coronavirus pandemic and some other challenges, we were able to have this very, very special moment where we could all look at the future and say that things are going to be brighter tomorrow than they are today, and you and the NASA team and the SpaceX team gave us that opportunity, and for that we are so, so grateful. I would also be remiss as the NASA administrator if I didn't promote what comes next, and of course this is the beginning. We are now launching to low Earth orbit again, but we will soon be going to the moon. We will be going to the moon sustainably with commercial partners and international partners. We're going to use the resources of the moon to learn how to live and work for long periods of time. Ultimately, we're going to take all of that knowledge and we're going to go to Mars. And of course, this time when we go to the moon, we go with a very diverse, highly qualified astronaut corps that includes women, which is why we call the program Artemis, named after the twin sister of Apollo, and she, in Greek mythology, was the goddess of the moon. This is the beginning. There is so much more to come, and I'm glad that our representatives of the Johnson Space Center are here because we're going to be asking them to fund this project. and what an amazing day that you guys have given us. So thank you from not just me and the people here, but from the United States of America and people all around the world. I'm more popular on Twitter than I've ever been, and it's because of you guys. Thank you.
To the crew on the International
Thank you to all
Space
of you.
Station.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Chris, we ask that you just hold your position for a few minutes. There's, of course, a number of photos we'd like to take. And then a quick note for those down here in the room. To Senator Cruz, Congressman Bobbin, Administrator Bridenstine, Director Geyer, and all of our distinguished visitors, thank you for your participation in today's historic event, and thank you for the leadership that has enabled it.
Hostility. Moments ago, as we witnessed the launch of two great American astronauts into space, we were filled with the sense of pride and unity that brings us together as Americans. That same spirit which powered our astronauts to the moon has also helped lift our country to ever greater heights of justice and opportunity throughout our history. So today, as we mark a renewed commitment to America's future in space, a tremendous commitment it is, let us also commit to a brighter future for all of our citizens right here on Earth. When Americans are united, there is nothing we cannot do. From day one of my administration, we put America first. This afternoon, I am delighted to be with you at Cape Canaveral, in this storied home of American daring, aspiration, and drive. This is the first big space message in 50 years. Think of that. And it is an honor to be delivering it. Today, as we gather in this special place to celebrate not only the launch of a new spacecraft, but also our nation's bold and triumphant return to the stars, it's a special day. Moments ago, the world bore witness to the flight of the first new manned U.S. spacecraft in nearly 40 years since the Space Shuttle launched in 1981, a long time ago. I am thrilled to announce that the SpaceX Dragon capsule has successfully reached low Earth orbit and that our astronauts are safe and sound. With this launch, the decades of lost years and little action are officially over. A new age of American ambition has now begun. Past leaders put the United States at the mercy of foreign nations to send our astronauts into orbit. Not anymore. Today, we once again proudly launch American astronauts on American rockets, the best in the world, from right here on American soil. Those of us who saw the spectacular and unforgettable liftoff this afternoon watched more than an act of history. We watched an act of heroism. Every time our astronauts climb aboard a rocket, which is many, many stories of only engine and fuel, and vault across the sky, they display breathtaking valor. What Colonel Douglas Hurley and Colonel Robert Behnkin did this afternoon was pure American genius and courage. They joined the ranks of just 7 prior American astronauts who have made the perilous maiden voyage to test a new class of spacecraft. The names of Hurley and Behnkin will stand in the history books alongside those of legends like Alan Shepard, Gus Grissom, John Young. Now these brave and selfless astronauts will continue their mission to advance the cause of human knowledge as they proceed to the International Space Station before returning to Earth. We wish them Godspeed on their journey, and as one proud nation, we salute their fearless service. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Nothing, not even gravity itself, can hold Americans down or keep America back. We are grateful to NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine and Director of Kennedy Space Center Bob Cabana for welcoming us this evening. Very special. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Great job. Great job. Come a long way in 3.5 years, Jim, haven't we? Huh? A long way. To the incredible men and women of NASA from here at Kennedy Space Center to the Johnson Space Center in Texas, we love you too. To NASA Plum Brook Station in Sandusky, Ohio, thank you all for working so hard to make this day a reality. We have many other great days almost ready to happen. Also with us are many members of my cabinet, including our great new DNI, John Radcliffe. Thank you, John. Thank you. We have a great friend of mine, special man, ran a great, great campaign, Governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Ron. Your senators, Rick Scott and Marco Rubio. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Leader Kevin McCarthy. Kevin, thank you very much. Great job you do, Kevin. And Representatives Matt Gaetz, John Rutherford, Michael Waltz, Bill Posey, Gus Bilirakis, Daniel Webster, Brian Mast, Elise Stefanik, Bill Flores, Brian Babin, Rodney Davis, Roger Marshall, and Stephen Palazzo. Thank you very much. Thank you. What a great group of people. They're warriors. They're really warriors. They helped so much get this done and so many other things. With us also is our Air Force Chief of Staff, General David Goldfein. General, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, General. Thank you. And Chief of Space Operations, the first ever named, and now a member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, because we created the United States Space Force. General J. Raymond, thank you very much, Jay. Thank you, Jay. And senior members also of our great United States military. It's never been stronger than it is right now. Also, Attorney General of Florida, Ashley Moody, and Chief Financial Officer of Florida, Jimmy Petronas, and many other distinguished guests. Thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it. I especially want to congratulate someone who truly embodies the American ethos of big thinking and risk-taking. After achieving success as an internet entrepreneur, he could have spent his fortune doing anything, including yachting, lots of things. He could do lots of things. But in 2002, he began pouring tens of millions of dollars of his own money into research and development for a new rocket. He's a little different than a lot of other people. He liked rockets. He assembled a crew of some of the greatest minds and talent in American aerospace. In the years since, SpaceX has become the first private company to develop and successfully launch its own rocket into orbit, the first to launch and recover its own capsule. And of course, moments ago, SpaceX became the first private company to put humans into orbit around the Earth. Elon Musk, congratulations. Congratulations, Elon. Thanks, Elon. For Elon and 8,000 SpaceX employees, today is the fulfillment of a dream almost 2 decades in the making. For years on end, they have worked hand in hand with NASA, sculpting aluminum, tightening valves, tuning nozzles, testing parachutes, and filling massive tanks with thousands and thousands of pounds of kerosene and liquid oxygen. Today, the groundbreaking partnership between NASA and SpaceX has given our nation the gift of an unmatched power, a state-of-the-art spaceship to put our astronauts into orbit at a fraction of the cost of the Space Shuttle, and it's much better. From now on, the United States will leverage the fast-growing capabilities of our commercial sector and the finest pieces of real estate on Earth, which you need very badly, to send U.S. astronauts into space. Under NASA's Commercial Crew Program, we will use rockets and spacecraft designed, built, owned, and launched by private American companies at a fixed price for the American taxpayer. Today's launch makes clear the commercial space industry is the future. The modern world was built by risk takers and renegades, fierce competitors, skilled craftsmen, captains of industry who pursued opportunities no one else saw and envisioned what no one else could ever think of seeing. The United States will harness the unrivaled creativity and speed of our private sector to stride even further into the unknown. This launch also marks an exciting turning point for NASA. This agency will now focus its unmatched expertise like nobody's ever seen, and power and integrity to do what NASA does better than anyone else, and it's not even close. Embark on the most difficult, most daring, most audacious missions in the history of humankind. When I first came into office 3.5 years ago, NASA had lost its way, and the excitement, energy, and ambition, as almost everybody in this room knows, was gone. There was grass growing through the cracks of your concrete runways. Not a pretty sight, not a pretty sight at all. The last administration presided over the closing of the Space Shuttle and almost all of the giant facility that keeps so many people working, so many brilliant minds going. People were crying. They were devastated. But now it's the greatest of its kind anywhere in the world and will get greater and greater with years to come. I promise you that. We have created the envy of the world and will soon be landing on Mars and will soon have the greatest weapons ever imagined in history. I've already seen designs, and even I can't believe it. The United States has regained our place of prestige as the world leader. As has often been stated, you can't be number one on Earth if you are number two in space. And we are not going to be number two anywhere. Nowhere is this more true than with our military, which we have completely rebuilt. Under my administration, we have invested $2.5 trillion in new planes, ships, submarines, tanks, missiles, rockets, anything you can think of. And last year, I signed the law creating the sixth branch of that already very famous United States Armed Forces, the Space Force. For every citizen who has eagerly waited for America to reignite those engines of will, confidence, and imagination that put a man on the moon, I stand before you to say, you need wait no longer. Through NASA's Artemis program, the United States is preparing for a crewed mission to Mars. Earlier this week, I saw the Orion capsules being worked on in this building. As part of the Artemis Moon to Mars program, those capsules will soon return Americans to lunar orbit for the first time in over 50 years, half a century. By 2024, our astronauts will return to the lunar surface to establish a permanent presence and the launching pad to Mars. And the first woman on the moon will be an American woman, and the first nation to land on Mars will be the United States of America. Since I signed the order to establish these goals shortly after taking office, we have made rapid gains. A new 22,000-pound capsule is already built. The next generation of spacesuits are already made. Colossal rockets are now being tested, and the contracts for 3 separate lunar landers have been awarded and signed, and they are magnificent. In the years ahead, America will go bigger, bolder, further, faster, and America will go first. America will always be first. To be certain, we will meet the adversity and hardship along the way. There may even be tragedy because that is the danger of space. There's nothing we can do about that. The power that we're talking about is unrivaled. There's nothing we can do about problems, but we'll have very few of them. We will confront all of those challenges, knowing that the quest for understanding is the oldest and deepest hope in our souls. The innate human desire to explore and innovate is what propels the engines of progress and the march of civilization. We will preserve and persevere, and we will ensure a future of American dominance in space. To that end, over the last 3 years, I reestablished the National Space Council. I issued a directive cutting red tape for innovative space companies such as SpaceX. We created the world's first comprehensive space traffic management system. Last month, I signed an executive order establishing U.S. policy for the recovery and use of space resources and minerals. Administrator Bridenstine announced the Artemis Accords to govern the future of space exploration and development. Together, we will assert America's rightful heritage as the greatest spacefaring nation on the planet, and already it's not even close. In the half a century since the United States stopped sending astronauts to deep into space, 1972, no other country has ever done it. The reasons are simple: cost, technological complexity, and tremendous danger. For instance, I was told that the rocket you just witnessed had to be launched within 1 second, or it would be impossible for it to hit its target. And I was here 2 days ago, and I said to Jim, it's okay, why don't you wait 5 or 10 minutes? And he said, sir, we only have a window of 1 second. And I walked out of here shaking my head. Is that true, Jim? Yes, it's true. Space travel is not a feat of engineering alone. It's also a moral endeavor, a measure of a nation's vision, its willpower, its place in the world. Exploration is a test of our values and of our faith. America is a nation defined by its commitment to discovery, to solve mysteries, to chart the unknown, to press the limits, to achieve the fullest expression of life's potential, and to ensure that America is the nation that always leads the way, and especially in space. This evening, I am more confident than ever before that America stands poised to thrive in this grand undertaking. It's incredible. We are a nation of pioneers. We are the people who crossed the ocean, carved out a foothold on a vast continent, settled a great wilderness, and then set our eyes upon the stars. This is our history, and this is our destiny. Now, like our ancestors before us, we are venturing out to explore a new, magnificent frontier. It's called space. Our most daring feats, our most epic journeys, our biggest adventures, and our finest days are just beginning. America's proudest moments are still ahead. We are on the verge of our most exciting years, and next year may be the most exciting of all. You just watch. So today, as our brave American astronauts shake the earth and blaze a trail of fire and steel into the heavens, we proclaim for all to hear that we have not yet tested the full strength of the American character, and the world has not yet seen the full glory of the American spirit. For our country, for our children, and for humanity's march into the stars, the best is yet to come. It was a great honor for me to deliver this speech. God bless our brave astronauts now soaring through the heavens. God bless the men and women of NASA. And God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.